Hello everybody and welcome back to our latest episode of Ups and Downs for Star Trek Lower Decks. This is episode 8, Veritas. I am Seán Ferrick and joining me again is the lovely Marcus Bronzy. Marcus, thank you so much for coming back.
Thanks for having me, man. Much appreciated. Looking forward to getting stuck into this week's episode. I'm going to say this now, Seán. I'm glad that we had a chat last week, because we spoke about some things that I think are going to be very relevant in today's ups and downs. So thank you for inviting me back. I'm back again, and I feel like time has basically played to our advantage with regards to me starting last week. Because boy, have we got some stuff to talk about around this week's episode.
We really do. We really do. Without any further ado, here is Ups and Downs for Star Trek Lower Decks. So, first and foremost, we have our 4 regulars get chucked straight into a prison, which I'm pretty sure, and tell me now if you agree with this, I think we both thought this was going to be a Klingon prison.
Yeah, I mean, straight away we see Boimler, Mariner, Tendi, and Rutherford end up in a jail, and everything about this jail screams Klingon. It's got that kind of red Klingon glow. It looks a bit rough. The prison doors are made up of, some batlith style-esque kind of sharp looking things. Like, basically everything screams Klingon to me. They're in jail, and the first thing I'm asking is, what have they done wrong, basically? And I think the general consensus immediately from the crew that we see, which looks like an away team, 4 people, which is interesting. That's already kind of saying stuff to me. Looks like they're there without understanding why they're there. I think it's Boimler straight away that's like, I don't need to be here. I don't know. We don't deserve to be here immediately. I think he says something like that.
I love that. He has his pottery class at 0900 that he's supposed to get to. It's just, of course, Boimler has a pottery class at 0900. I love it. It's cool.
The only guy that can find or take part in a pottery class on a starship. Check this guy. But yeah, so there's kind of varied degrees of confusion and basically trying to work out where they are, right?
Oh, like 100%. And as soon and they name drop the Klingons as well, which goes even further to go like, this is the setup from Undiscovered Country. This is the court that Kirk and McCoy found themselves in. So when that platform raises up and brings them up into that room, aesthetically, straight away, I'm just thinking, up. I love this movie, up. Yeah, so just really quick, just getting in there straight away with an up straight away. And then, even better, we get the first promised guest star, which is Kurtwood Smith. Straight away, Anorak's president of the Federation, also Foreman's dad in that 70s show. Yeah. So, just to anyone who didn't recognize his voice, that's who he is.
Oh yeah, my one was going to be Thrax the Kardashian, because Cardassian. I remember that. I think Kardashian. Lol. I remember that. But that's man. And so if you're a real fan of Trek over the years, then that's a nice surprise as well. I love that. That's a real good one as well, man. And I really respect the team for kind of making sure that they give us these little nuggets of quality actors. Do you know what I mean?
That's it as well, because really, like, in an animated series that is brand spanking new like this, you would be forgiven for just kind of, not being big enough really to attract some of the names or some of the, like we've already had. However, we've had Martok, we've had Kurtwood Smith, obviously in this one. There is another guest star whom we will speak of now in a few minutes. But so the premise of the episode is that they are there to give testimony, to testify about the bridge crew who are being held in basically some sort of stasis field. For all intents and purposes, we're thinking, this is a trial.
Yeah, they're suspended in a beam and they're looking very still. And this is the kind of classic Trek trial. Like Sean said, we've seen this before. We have officers who have to battle against a legal system that is designed by an alien species, which they struggle to understand on a day-to-day basis. So when you're in trouble with another species and you're in their court and you're trying to defend yourself against an established system, you ain't gonna win easily. And we've seen officers before have to fight to make things happen in court. So we've got the team of the team from the Veritas here, and they're not really known, and they're not as prolific, shall I say, as like a Picard or a Kirk. I can't see them talking themselves out of this. So this immediately screams of this ain't gonna go well for them. So yeah. So as you would have in court, each person kind of gets pulled up to the stand one by one. Is it a trumpet of truth that they have to speak through?
That is basically, I got like the fanciful horn of kind of like, you can only speak truth through this. Now, I don't see any evidence of there being anything happening if they speak lies, but whatever, it's cool.
So it's like a horn of truth. It's like a hat of truth, basically. Yeah, you put it on and you got to speak the truth. And straight away, they pull up Mariner to the stand and start giving her a good old grilling by pulling out a random star date, which I can't remember, but they ask her to recall a specific star date. And from that, at the moment, we feel like there's going to be some evidence that they're going to collate from it to basically use against her, maybe to prosecute her senior officers. So pressure's on immediately. So we jump into that memory via a flashback. Were they servicing a shuttlecraft, I believe?
Yeah, so that's how they're kind of, I suppose, plot A, but also plot B. Their memory storyline starts of they're all just doing their thing, and I have to say I did enjoy this. And Tendi is just going to the bathroom and opens, so goes back in. Guys, the ship's at red alert. And it's Rutherford but it can't be right because I turned the speakers up. No, you turned them off.
Yes. It's the classic turning it to the right. Yeah, everyone knows you turn it to the right, it goes clockwise turns something up, and anti-clockwise turns something down. Rutherford, obviously, with all of his special implants and advanced IQ, still is very human in the way that he didn't get that right. So he messed that up. They open the doors. You see the bridge kind of going absolutely crazy. And I felt like that was a good joke. For
me, that got a proper giggle out of me.
All right, cool, wicked. And then there's an Easter egg. We'll get back to that. There was a comment that got thrown out about restaurants, but I think you probably would have caught onto that, and we'll catch up with that later on. They then quickly have to head over to the bridge because it's a red alert, and they are currently running the shift where they need to be on the red alert. Nice little joke in there. Well, Mariner says to Boimler, "Look, just don't worry that we're late and we've missed half of the red alert because we've been chilling in the shuttle bay. We're not hearing it. Just whatever you do, just do as the captain says. Go with the flow. It's so hectic in there. No one will notice anyway." She comes in, Captain, aka Mum, asks her what she should do, and she's like, whatever you think you should do, Captain. And she's like, yes, of course, and gives her kind of the perfect level of finesse. Obviously, when it's Boimler's turn to come up with a strategy, he messes it up, doesn't he? He messes it up grand.
Completely. Some people have been, about the bleeped swearing in Lower Decks, but I think just as Dr. Tiana just turns and looks at them and says, "Is this guy kidding right now?"
Yeah.
I thought it was so deadpan. That to me is one of the funniest moments of the episodes. Just how straight she plays that.
Yeah, and even the maneuvers that I just want a quick point from Boimler, the maneuvers that he's asked them to do, like some of them are quite real. So like the Crazy Ivan's an actual maneuver where you basically get your thrusters. One of them pushes forwards, one of them pushes backwards, and it would have just spun the ship around in circles. So him just saying that randomly really does kind of cut in. So there's stuff in there which is, relatively, I'd say, realistic. I know we're talking about sci-fi here, but it's really well within canon in terms of the sci-fi stuff. And there was obviously the send a message gag as well, which I love. Which you hear that in Trek. When you're in a starship and you've got some decent phasers, and when the captain says to you, "Send them a message," what that means is you take those phasers, you fire them across the bow of the other ship, graze them, get real close to their shields, and then they know you're not messing around. So that's what Mariner does.
That is 100%. Mariner is so right.
Yes.
In going, that's what send a message means.
Yes. Whereas Captain Mum, as I'm going to call her for now, says, "No, I didn't mean that. I meant invite him over for lunch." Nice little gag there. I love that. That was a nice intro. That was the first kind of one of the 4 stories that we're going to get out of this episode. Yeah.
That's actually one thing. I like the way they break up. It's perfectly broken up, the little vignettes of the 4 different stories. I think Mariner's story gets an up from me.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That's nice. Nice fun run. So obviously she's off the stand. Now it's time for Rutherford to hit the stand. And this is the moment where I was like, oh my gosh, like this is Kurtwood Smith. Like, that's kind of where it came to me, actually. So this is where it really, really hit me, because I was like, yeah, that's another voice in there. Anyway, so his flashback is kind of trippy, because basically Rutherford, the problem with him is he has perfect recollection because of his implants. So how do you get him to tell a story that's fuzzy? It's great. He gets approached by Shrax, basically tells him to, they kind of tell him to quickly update because they need to do something. I can't remember. Yeah, so quickly update. And he's like, oh, well, I usually do that when I sleep. So he updates his systems, which causes him to black out momentarily a number of times. And what we get in between the blackouts is this interesting kind of set of clips of a mission that suddenly just goes way out there. Do you know what I mean, Sean?
It is just like every single little bit of it. It's like, where am I now? Where am I now? And like, it sort of makes sense in a way where it really doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But like Rutherford's story for me this week, it seemed like when the writers were sitting in the room, they said, okay, how many Easter eggs can we get into 2 or 3 minutes of an episode? So
mental.
Like I have filled an A4 page on like just Rutherford's story alone is how many. But also it was really funny, and he keeps his sweet nature, he keeps his very almost accidentally professional nature, because things with Rutherford tend to always go right.
Yeah. He's optimistic, and rightly so, with Rutherford. So he kind of tends to lean into his luck here. He starts to embrace his blackouts that he's having as he's updating and verifying updates, and we get to see him kind of take advantage of some Romulans, which we'll get back to in a second, because I started noticing Romulan conversation pieces kind of bounce around this point in the episode. So I felt, oh, there's Romulans involved now. This could be something that's a little bit cheeky, especially when we're looking at the time that Lower Decks is set in. So that was tingling in the back of my head. But yeah, Rutherford basically goes on this whole mission where they end up. Can we talk about do you see some Gorn, which is great? A Gorn wedding, which is great. And there's a nice little gag in there where he's about to black out, and he goes, "Oh well, every time I black out, I end up somewhere else anyway. So great, I'm going to black out now in the middle of this Gorn wedding. Instead of getting torn apart, I'll wake up in a great place." He passes out, wakes up again, and he's still got Gorns kind of clawing all over him. So that's great. So Rutherford basically, without kind of messing up the story now, we see him kind of having to infiltrate a Romulan ship, shall we say, and he's kind of on this little side mission. Also, we get Rutherford doing a nice little fan dance as well, which is very interesting indeed. A couple little gags in there. So yeah, that's right. So this is all going to make sense in the end. Rutherford's one is a bit out there at this moment in time, so he kind of comes off the stand. Unless, is there anything else we need to add to that, Sean?
I think not until we get to when we're going through Easter eggs, because a lot of the eggs sort of play into the plot there as well.
Wicked. I think it's going to be a very Easter egg heavy episode. So yeah, there was a lot of talk about Romulan intel. That was the big take that I had from Rutherford's kind of flashback to his questioning on the stand. So up next is Tendi, who up until this point has been sweating a little bit. And when I hear the word Romulan and when I see suspicious activity, my senses start tingling. I feel like something dodgy is going on. But Tendi, she's the lovely one. She's the female version of Rutherford. She's lovely. She's kind-hearted. Yeah, she made a dog in last week's episode that was absolutely insane. It looked like something out of The Thing. But yeah, she's got the best intentions. So she starts her story, which is really interesting. Because she kind of starts on this kind of I can nor confirm nor deny tip. Yeah, when she starts talking to Klan. And for her flashback, she is being asked to clean the conference room. And there's a nice little gag where she brags to Mariner about, hey, I'm going to go clean the conference room, and if you're in the conference room and a conversation is happening, you're not just part of the conversation, you're in a conference. So there was that nice little gag there. Heads over to the conference room. Yeah, we see Ransom burst into the room with an Andorian gentleman, another fellow as well, with blacked out eyes. They've got Black Ops strips over their eyes, which I love. They have redacted eyes. That's what they've got. And he comes in and proceeds to kind of run them through a Black Ops mission. And there's, like Sean says, he likes his beeps, but they start replacing beeps with kind of computer noises a bit here, don't they? So like when they're saying redacted things, and they're redacting things really badly as well. So it's like, let's head down to the Yulan planet and let's go on this, this mission. Like, it's like really obvious what they're saying. So that's a great joke that they kind of roll through. And Tendi has got the code name of the cleaner. right? So so that's great. So she ends up going on this kick-ass Black Ops mission where they have to get a secret a case, should we say, a large case. They have to pick up a package, and they have to basically, it's like a Section 31 mission. They're all blacked out and everything, polar opposite to the poor mission that we saw last week, which was planting a seed, right? This is a proper Black Ops mission, and they have to basically nick something off the Romulans, and you see some crossover with Rutherford's story now, because he mentions that he recognizes the ship. So again, we've got Romulans, we've got some misinformation, and we've got redacted kind of intel and stuff like that. So this is a kind of point in the story where we kind of learn that Tendi's kind of kick-ass, because she ends up on this Black Ops, like I said, Section 31 mission to collect this package from the Romulans. And on the way out, Ransom says to her, you need to do what you do now. You need to do your part of the mission as the cleaner. And she was like, okay, well, I guess I better kick some ass. Tendi goes on to kick the absolute living daylight out of a bunch of stooges, so we say.
She takes down about 10 Romulan officers.
She kicks ass like no one else I've seen before. And yeah, literally Ransom's like, oh, okay, cool. Cause it was just your job here to kind of beam us out, but hey, whatever, cool. Like, yeah, kick the crap out of everyone. So that's great. So we find out that Tendi now has been part of a secret mission to nick something off the Romulans. Rutherford has definitely been involved in something along the lines of this as well, and we also know that there was a red alert as well, so things are kind of coming together. Boimler's turn to hit the stand.
Oh, Boimler, he means so well. He's so useless, but he means so well.
And Boimler ain't got a story for us, has he, Sean? He ain't got a juicy old story for us, really, has he? He
really does. He goes on this impassioned speech about how, how fallible Starfleet officers are. He's being goaded by Kurtwood Smith into, talking about how perfect all of Starfleet are the best of the best, and he does this very human speech about how no, we all mess up, we all make mistakes, it's okay, we learn from them, and everyone gets really, really confused. He's like, you have us on trial for this, and he goes, you're not on trial. Oh, and then the lights come up, and there's balloons everywhere, there's streamers, and it was just this guy's party.
It's a party for the Imperial Magistrate Klar, who is very thankful because the crew of the Veritas in collectively have helped to free him, and he wanted to throw them a do, and part of throwing a do is extracting all of the information from them about their great missions. That's why he was so adamant, because he wanted to kind of prove to them how amazing they were by taking them and making them part of the ceremony. He wanted to etch their names on the walls. Yeah, that's a big deal. Whatever race you are, if someone etches you onto the wall, you're going to be there for a long time. So unfortunately, Boimler was well misplaced with his big speech, and we find out that the beam is actually a party beam that's holding up the senior officers. It's a beam of celebration. That's what it is.
It's and this, so to sound like a big party pooper, yes, that was a deliberate pun. This reveal was a down from me. I thought I absolutely see where they were going. I get it. We'll do the big bit of a twist ending. I just thought, lads, at any point during the episode, could you have told them? I got a giggle, but
I like jokes about misunderstanding each other, because they've kind of happened throughout Trek, understanding each other's cultures. Because there was a joke at the start of this episode, a very quick one, where there was a miscommunication with the alien race about thanking them for something. Thanking them's a big disrespect, and little things like that are cool. But I think, do you feel like that this was a big build up, and it was a bit like, it was just the payoff didn't kind of work out with the build up, because there's like kidnapping in it, there's espionage, there's Romulan fan dancing, there's all sorts of stuff like that in this episode. And just for a guy to turn around and be like, I was actually holding a party, you kind of would presume that would have been explained at some point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, even if, let's say, he didn't have the wherewithal to say, this is my party, surely, Captain Mum or any of the rest of them might have said, guys. Yes, this is nitpicky, but it was a little bit, I was kind of really?
Yeah. I mean, there is a good joke when Freeman and the crew have kind of been invited to the party, and I think Dr. Tana cracks a joke about shaving her boop as well. That was a good.
Yeah,
that was edgy though.
okay.
I like that. I was like, whoa, hey, cool. I mean, the payoff in this wasn't as good as I feel like it could have been, but it was a very interesting way of taking action. Like we've said in previous episode, I believe Clary said this as well. We like it personally when we can see the upper decks working with a storyline, the lower decks working with the storyline, and this was great because it was on ship, off ship. It was the lower decks having very important input and also running alongside the senior officer's storyline as well. So that was quite hard to do actually. I believe to kind of put that together, but that was quite interesting. But Sean's giving it a down, and well, I've got to roll with you for it, man.
All right, coffee is in. Let's do this.
There we go.
Sherwood Smith, Star Trek 6, we got the courtroom there. We got Roga Danar is called out next gen. We also have Khan, Space Seed, and that chest are all called out as well. We have with many references to Marcus, maybe just once again there for the people in the back.
There we go. It's a bit of my. It's not a Khan chest though, is it? Anyway, sorry. I'll let you continue.
It's closer than mine. We have calls out to the vineyards that Picard is always hanging out on, and also there's a little cheeky call out to Cisco's restaurant in New Orleans as well, which I absolutely loved.
Awesome.
We have the map of the neutral zone itself, of course, and there's a shout out to the Denobulants from Enterprise. There's a Denobulan like flesh-eating virus going around. Yeah. Nobody wants that. One of Rutherford's wake up, there's two passed out Vulcans, and Trax calls them, "How well, you knocked out Spock and Spock here."
Awesome.
That was hilarious.
Awesome.
Then we get to the museum. So first of all, they're on a Vulcan long-range shuttle from Star Trek The Motion Picture, which I love because it's the first time we've seen it since Star Trek The Motion Picture. And then we have in the museum a Jem'Hadar ship, the Taplana Hat, a Katinga battle cruiser, a Worker Bee, Romulan Bird of Prey, obviously that comes back, Type 6 shuttle, which we've seen a few times, still nice, a Tholian web spinner, Quark's Treasure, the Ferengi shuttle. We also then have, of course, the fan dance from Star Trek 5. Rutherford taking on the role of Uhura there.
Mm-hmm.
So they also have the security guard who confronts them is wearing the armor from the security guards from Star Trek 6 as well. One of the times that Rutherford wakes up, I think it's just after this, he overhears someone saying, Mark Twain has a gun, calling back to TNG Times Arrow, and that really, really got me. I thought that was very good. So obviously when they're on the Romulan Bird of Prey as well, as they're zooming through their cloak to the next thing, you get a really, really, really nicely realized Romulan warbird 4 times over. Like, it's really, they nail the design. Then, as you mentioned, he wakes up, it's a Gorn wedding, and also just in the back, where is the wedding taking place? It's taking place at the Vasquez Rocks, which is where everything in the desert is filmed for Star Trek, which I just think is brilliant. They get onto the ship, there's the Romulan outfits from Next Generation, they're walking around, one turns to the other and says, "You know what I hate? Remans." I was just
awesome. What a line out of nowhere. Like there's this
so good.
So deep. Yeah. So if you're familiar with that enslaved race, then that's a real heart back to kind of their relationship. So that's awesome, cool. And I'm going to shut up now because I know you got more, Sean.
You're correct. So I'm nearly there now. So in that last kind of in Boimler's, so all of those, by the way, for me, up. I'll give them an up together because I think it was done really well, the amount of Easter eggs they did. It didn't overpower the story. And just then, so in Boimler's little summary, when he's talking about how they sometimes get things wrong, we get the salt vampire from the Man Trap. Ransom is hitting on a salt vampire. That's one. They talk about a giant Spock as well, which I believe is a callback to the animated series.
Awesome.
But also, amazingly, they talk about that time Dr. Crusher fell in love with that ghost on the Scottish planet. I was like, oh my God, Sub Rosa, what a call, what a call.
Yes.
And then they talk about that time that particular character arrived.
Yeah.
Okay, so the good thing, John Delancey is back as Q, and we love it, and it's lovely to see him.
What did we say last week, Sean? What did we say last week? We said, look, if you bring Q back into Trek, right, in Lower Decks, one thing that we really, really would want is an episode where he has proper dialogue and can drive the storyline. What we do not want, please, we begged last week is not just a scrappy couple of lines and a joke, and he's out. That's what we asked for, right?
That is exactly what we asked for.
What was delivered this week, Sean?
Exactly what we didn't ask for. It's lovely to see him back, but I hate to say this. It gets it down from me because
I'm with you on that.
Exactly what we were afraid of.
Part of Boimler's speech where he's kind of celebrating the humanness of the crew and how they're not perfect and how mistakes are made and secrets are kept, is him talking about when a Q comes on board, because everyone knows when a Q's on board, havoc ensues. I mean, this guy can change the laws of physics quite literally. So he uses that as an example, and we get some great lines. You know, it's cool. Well, we get a couple of teases, and it's not enough for me, man. Like there's room to write Q in for a full episode. Do you know? I mean, and I think Q deserves more than that. If I see Q popping up, and this is in any part of the canon, I want him to take an episode or two. Do you know what I mean? That's what he's good at. He's good at. He's not the kind of guest that you want in for a line or two. So I was very disappointed in that, Sean. Frustrated as well, and maybe that took a little bit of shine off the episode as well.
That's you nailed it. It could have been. It was in the running, I think, for most of the episode to be one of the most fun episodes. I love a lot of the humor in it. It really, really lands very well, and I feel if they hadn't teased us with Q coming, and this was just a shock, it maybe wouldn't have hit so hard.
Yeah, I won't go as far as to say it's like this, but back in the day when you bought DVDs, right, kids, this is before Netflix, all right? You might have like a celebrity in a film for one scene. Like, let me just pull random, a Bruce Willis in a film, right? And he'd be in it for one scene, but on the front of the DVD, he'd be like the big picture right in the middle. And I think they stopped doing that, one, because people clocked on. And two, people will find out if someone's only in for a scene at the moment, But anyway, so that I feel like that's what they did. They kind of gave us this promise of John coming back and giving us a lovely Q episode, and we didn't really get that. So yeah, I'm with you on that down, Sean. And I love it, man. And you got way more Easter eggs than me, man. That's great. I mean, the Spock and Spock line, I just want to say that was great. That's so
Love
nice.
that.
That's come on. You're jumping through to different parts of the canon, and you're just kind of pulling these jokes through as little one-liners. Amazing. But anyway, look, I think we banged on enough about it this week. I feel like it was an Easter egg heavy episode. We're nearing the end of our run of Lower Decks. Just a couple more episodes to go, right, Sean?
Two more, and then that's season 1 completed. I think really, really overall, really strong episode, strong season so far. Probably one of the best first seasons of any Star Trek series so far. And fingers crossed. Now, fingers crossed they stick the landing. So we have 2 episodes to go, and as I said before, we're due a clunker. So I hope we don't get one. We haven't had a bad episode yet. We've had scenes we didn't like. We haven't had a bad episode yet. So, but I think for this week anyway, that is everything. So look, Marcus, thank you very, very much for joining me again. So we're going to be back this time next week. In the meantime, Marcus, where can people find you?
I've done a bunch of new content with Trek Culture and What Culture, so I'll be all over those YouTube channels. I'm also at Marcus Bronzy, Bronzy on Twitter, and I've got a podcast as well called How to Kill an Hour, which is all about tech. So wherever you listen to podcasts, you can check that out.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. As always, I have been Seán Ferrick. You can find me on Twitter at Seán Ferrick. I'm on a bunch of podcasts as well. You'll find them all there. In the meantime, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Is there anything we missed in this episode? Please let us know in the comments below. And in the meantime, you have an amazing week, and we will catch you next Thursday. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.